Yo, Trev, you know what time it is?
Yes, it's showtime, Jay.
Well, hey, man, you know what that means.
I believe that means it's time to get this thing rocking and rolling.
Well, hey, hit the music, big fella, because let's get this thing going. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to The Game Plan. Our show is brought to you by Bringing the Heat Media and 4D Leaders. This show is dedicated to using sports to create positive change. So be ready to get inspired, uplifted, and empowered through thought-provoking conversations specific to the world of youth sports with some of the top minds in the game. I'm your co-host, Trevor Rosenthal, MLB All-Star and former single-season save record holder for the St. Louis Cardinals, with Jason Holzer, co-founder of 4D Leaders and best-selling author. We got an awesome episode coming at you this way. I just wanted to share, Jason, real quick. Had a cool interaction with my oldest daughter yesterday. So my oldest daughter, she's 11. She's, she surprises me all the time. She's just a great little girl with a heart of gold. And she's on the competitive gymnastics team. And she had a situation in the gym where one of her teammates was having a tough day, and my daughter noticed this and went down or went next to her, sat down with her, and had a long conversation. And she was retelling this story when we asked her how her day was, and she was telling us about this interaction she had with her teammate. And she said, I sat down with her, and she started telling us about how this conversation went and how she was encouraging this teammate that she had, and she was helping her by not just telling her, hey, it's okay, you got this, and in more along the lines of her telling her, hey, I see the struggle that you're going through. I've been there myself. And really, to sum up the whole encouragement, it was a lengthy amount of time, and I appreciated my daughter kind of laying it out for me. But to sum it all up, she said, if we weren't perfect, then we would, she said, if we were perfect, then we wouldn't need practice. And that really stuck out to me. And this girl, her friend, her teammate that she was encouraging said, you know, no one's ever sat down with me and kind of met me where I'm at. People always tell me, hey, it's going to be okay, you'll figure it out, just get out there and keep going. But she said she appreciated my daughter sitting down next to her because it made her feel like there was somebody else that validated where she was, somebody else that had gone through those feelings that she was having, and somebody that had overcome those feelings and been on the other side of it. And for me, when I thought about that conversation, first of all, I was super inspired by my 11-year-old. I mean, my goodness, what a cool story for me. But I really thought of it in the terms of the conversations that we're having on this show with the game plan, with our guests today, and really like, that's the purpose, right? Like, we want to have these open conversations to help somebody else get on the other side of where they're trying to go. And, you know, for me, I know I'm not perfect. I know I wish I would have done things better in certain areas of my life, and I'm continuing to learn, and I'm learning from other people. So, Jason, I just wanted to kind of jump off, and I know we have an exciting guest come on today, and I'll let you head into the introduction.
Well, I love that story, man, especially the quote of, if we were perfect, we wouldn't need to practice. Kind of sounds like something that should go on a Fathead. And luckily for us, we're tackling the topic of youth sports and how to shape amazing people, like situations like your daughter just did. And we got the CEO of Fathead on, Chris Hetherington, who was a former NFL player. But the dude went to Yale and played two sports, baseball and football. So not only did he go to Yale, but he played two Division I sports while he was there. So he's a pretty athletic guy, but he's also a pretty smart guy as well. So, Chris, thank you for joining us today, man. And sounds like we got your next promotional quote to roll out here.
Yeah,
so,
appreciate it.
Welcome to the show.
Appreciate that. Yeah, good morning. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, Chris, a lot of things in sports, we've talked about in the past. They go into how do we create environments for kids? How do we create spaces? Like you talked about, you said, man, I wish somebody would have told me whenever I was 8 how to be a leader. So tell me, from what you've seen, from what you've experienced as a player growing up, a kid, as a dad, where do we start with this? Where do we start with this environment that we can create that's more healthy for kids, that's more inclusive, that's more about who they become as people? Because we know the stats, there's not very many of them are going to go on to have the careers that a lot of us dream to have. right? But they could be the person that they dream to be at some point, though, too.
Yeah, look, I think youth sports are amazing. I think it's unfortunately become a multi-billion-dollar business. Excuse me, but I think looking back in my life, I think about all the coaches I had in my career, starting from my little league coaches and my midget football coaches, and some of those coaches had a really massive impact in not only my life and my career, and just learning about the game from them, and trusting them in certain situations. And we talked about it earlier, parents these days tend to be pretty intense, and I've witnessed that firsthand over the last several years. I have two sons that are 10 and 6, and they play a lot of sports. I think first of all, it's important, and you guys probably talk about this a lot, I think it's important for kids to play as many sports as they can. And a lot of these kids, or more importantly the parents, get them to focus on one sport. And so sports is supposed to be fun, and obviously you want your kid to be the best player he can be, and really focus on the physical aspects and the mental aspects. But for me, it's been fun to coach youth sports. I think for me, I try to take a very healthy approach. I read a book, you may know this, Trevor, Matheny Manifesto, St. Louis Cardinal coach, but it's just, I've learned so much from that book, and you see these parents at the game screaming and yelling at the umpires and yelling at the kids, and that's not their job. That's the job of the coach and the teammates and stuff like that. So, I think for me, it's all about creating a healthy environment. I think even at the professional level, looking back at my career and technically the 6 teams I played for, it makes a difference in the culture of that organization, and that culture starts from the top down. And Indianapolis, for example, I think we had a close team, and we had a very talented team. We lost to Pittsburgh in the playoffs a couple years in a row. We went to Carolina, and really great ownership group in Carolina at the time, and with the coaches, I think weren't in my opinion the greatest leaders. They went to St. Louis, and Mike Martz was a amazing offensive mind, and we had some struggles that year. And then I went to Oakland and the old Al Davis days, which was a little bit dysfunctional at times, but we had a great team. And so I think in a nutshell, guys, it's for youth sports, it's all about fun and learning these traits that will help you later in life. Be a great person and be a great teammate and be accountable and have discipline and make sacrifices. I mean, those are all the things that I learned during my career that has helped me certainly in my business career.
Yeah, that's I like that you mentioned the transition. I'm super interested to pick your brain on this as, someone who has really only been a professional athlete my whole career, or been an athlete, amateur, professional, however you want to slice the bread here. But looking to get into the world of business and go beyond the game. I mean, what are some key lessons that you learned in your NFL career? You mentioned a couple, and how those lessons applied to your role as a CEO of a big business.
Yeah, I think for me, I was smart enough to realize that I wasn't going to play forever, and the average career in the NFL is 3 years, and so I was fortunate enough to play 11, but I early in my career, I tried to prepare for life after football as much as I could. And I was lucky enough to have a good education from Yale, and ended up doing the executive programs at Harvard and Wharton. And really the purpose of that was to figure out, what do I want to do in the next chapter of my life? And, I had certain expectations that I would go to Wall Street or work for a private equity firm or something like that. And for me, it's like, all right, how do I take the skill sets that I have? And first of all, what am I interested in doing? What am I passionate about? And, I think later in my career, being an entrepreneur was really attractive to me. Building something was really attractive to me. Building a team and a great culture and empowering, teammates to do great things and think big and hold each other accountable. But for me, I look back and, look, Trevor, I wish I did a better job of talking to as many people as I could. And when you're an athlete, people want to be around you, and you can learn valuable lessons, whether it's successful people in that town that you play golf with, or you encounter these individuals pretty consistently. And I wish I did a better job. I think I did a decent job, but I wish I did a better job. And look, I think you're obviously a bright guy, and you can do a lot of things. I think for us, sports have been such a big part of our life. And for me personally, I feel very blessed to be back in sports again with Fathead, and to be able to build a company that makes an impact in sports and impact in culture, and bring fans closer to their heroes, and have a really positive impact. What we do from a brand standpoint to a lot of these leagues, we have licenses with all the major sports leagues and all the players associations and NASCAR, WWE, and a ton of entertainment IP. And so, I think for me the transition is like, look, I've always been a grinder my whole life. I'm sure you have too. And what can I grind at to be successful? What am I passionate about? And more importantly, where can I make an impact? I think as I get older, I'll be 52 this month, and I'm like, shoot, I want to make an impact. I want to leave a legacy, and luckily I found a brand we can do that. We can make a tremendous impact in culture and sports, and we're starting to get big time involved in youth sports and starting to partner with a lot of these big organizations and stuff. But I mean, you've made so many sacrifices in your career and have so much discipline. You were an amazing player. It's like, all right, what am I interested in doing? Where can I throw that passion into again to really, one, feel fulfilled in my life, right? Like, fulfillment was big for me, and I could have took a job on Wall Street. I probably wouldn't have loved it, but my career, I've had a lot of different roles in my post-football career, and I always had a massive fear of failure, and so that was factored into some of the things I wanted to do and some of the adventures I got involved in. But failure is it's a cliche, but failure is a lesson, and I've learned so many things. And the key is to not make the same mistake twice, right?
I mean, I feel like as you're sharing that with me, I'm like, man, I feel like Chris is talking to me like a father figure. Like, he's like genuinely sharing his experience, and I say that because that's the type of conversation that I hope for in the future with my kids. Like, I want to have that sort of relationship where when they're out of the house and making turning into young adults and making big choices, I can share, the challenges that I've gone through and the lessons that I've learned, and hopefully help them mitigate some of those failures. But I resonate with that fear of failure. I think that's a lot of times unhealthy, but in terms of athletes, it can be a positive thing. It can push you and drive you. But when like anything, when it gets out of whack, it can be detrimental as well. But like I said, you're talking in this kind of like father figure stance. When you think about your two boys, 10 and 6, I believe, when you think about, I mean, those are ages, right? Like you're transitioning out of the diaper stage and just making sure that they aren't cracking their head by falling down the stairs. And now it's like, okay, these are turning into people that I can actually influence. What is your approach? I mean, are you thinking about the car ride home and how to maximize it, or is it something that has just come natural for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, my wife and I, our most important thing is to raise good human beings, right? Good human beings that are humble, that are polite, that treat people with respect, and like I said earlier, it'd be great for my kids to be leaders, and you don't want to force that on a young kid, but kids can make an impact on other kids in the same way adults can impact other adults. And so, luckily my kids are good athletes, but they work at it, man. My son Jack is a 10-year-old, and he's a maniac athlete, but he works at it, dude. It's hard to teach that. Like I see him out there banging the tee and practicing his baseball swing every day. And, he plays travel baseball, and he's in 2 flag football leagues. And, we go on vacation. He's like, the amount of times he asked me to play catch, and it's hard to say no, man. It's literally every half hour he's asking to play catch. But those are the times that, you can't get those times back. And it's been fun for me. And like I said, I don't want to put added pressure on my kids. And, their old man played professional football for a long time, but I think we've been able to use that to a positive, and there are times early on where I was like, look, man, you need to be coachable, and I know what I'm talking about. So, but I try to go about it, like I said, in a very healthy way. But the most important thing is to raise good people and good kids, and encourage them to be good teammates, encourage them to be coachable, and pick their teammates up when they make mistakes, and have a good attitude when you make a mistake. And a good example, you appreciate this, Trevor. Like my kid pitches sometimes, and he throws hard, and I try to teach him the little things like body language and having a good attitude on the mound and being confident, and that's important, not only for young kids but adults as well. And to your point earlier, I think using that fear or using those butterflies to the positive is the right way to kind of handle those situations, for sure.
Yeah, that's what those are the two things that I hit on with young kids that I'm mentoring, or young professional athletes, even, because they, at any level, people, we struggle with the foundationals, we struggle with the fundamentals. And Chris, I'm sure in football it's the same way. It's like, hey, yeah, there's a lot of fancy things and fancy terms as you get up the stream of pro sports or sports in general, but the fundamentals don't change. You have to execute on the fundamentals before you start thinking about anything else. And it's just that it's the body language, it's how you're carrying yourself, how you're acting as a teammate. Those three things kind of go hand in hand. And then, for me, I've learned what happens on the outside, it starts on the inside. So if you want to display confidence, well, you have to have this internal belief system to begin with. So no, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm kind of interested too, like a little segue. We were talking before we started the conversation about Fathead. Maybe give us a little update on where the company's at. How you're approaching the market, and really what does differentiate Fathead from the rest of the competition in the industry?
Yeah, I was to be honest with you, in the right place at the right time. One of my good friends from Yale lives in Detroit, and got to know the former CEO and owner, and I was in a fortunate situation to put together a good group of operators and executives with deep relationships in sports and entertainment and culture to buy this brand. And look, at the time was a 17-year-old iconic brand, and there was days where you were seeing it everywhere, right? The big Clay Matthews commercials and Richard Sherman and Ben Roethlisberger, and I think they've been a little bit sleepwalking the last 4 years, and so we saw it as an incredible opportunity to bring in a really experienced team and to take an iconic brand to new heights. And we've cleaned up the business quite a bit, or a lot, and we're starting to expand distribution. We're starting to get into other categories like music and gaming, and we have licenses with every major sports league and all the players associations, NASCAR, WWE. We're on the doorstep of hopefully getting UFC and Formula One, which is big. And so, yeah, for me, I'm excited to be back in sports again, and use this platform and this brand to make an incredible impact on sports and culture. And we're kind of the Kleenex of wall decals, right? And there's other brands coming to market. I think we have an incredible opportunity to really grow this company to a real special level, and we've been incorporating technology and automation and innovation, and that's what the best brands do, right? They innovate to really give consumers what they want. And it's been fun to bring fans closer to their heroes, and to, on the custom side of our business, which is an incredible business, to capture these moments, whether my son wins Little League championship at 10 and wants to capture that moment, or the St. Brown headstand that he did at the game last week, that we made that a Fathead, or the incredible Wilson catch. And so it's capturing these great moments in life and sports, and bringing fans closer to their heroes, and certainly closer to moments. We do custom side, we can do graduations and birthday parties. We sell a lot of pets, like people are customizing their pets into Fatheads, which is great, man. It's fun. And I think for us as a business, we have so many products and so much IP, and it's okay if you're not a Patrick Mahomes fan. Maybe your daughter's a Disney fan, or certainly if you don't want to put these big, massive decals on your walls. We have minis, we have it all. So it's been fun, man. And like I said, it's been fun for me to get back in sports again and leverage these relationships I've built over the last 25 years. And it's been awesome, man. We got a great opportunity, but we gotta stay focused and gotta execute well, and we'll be in good shape.
Chris, you mentioned before about getting more involved in youth sports, and there's a lot of stats out there that say sports can be really a great thing for kids, but it can also be a traumatic experience for kids if they're not around the right people with the right mentality, right, too, about it. So, what are some ways you see Fathead helping evolve sports to meet the needs of today's young people, to help them become that better version of themselves, to help with some of the struggles that kids are facing with the mental struggle, the isolation sometimes, the confidence factor as well. How can a brand like Fathead really help push forward that, the needs of the kids and give them that support?
Yeah, I think we have a good opportunity as a brand, like I said, to make a really great impact. And we'll do that in a lot of ways. We want to be a mission-driven business. We want to support, philanthropic initiatives that are near and dear to our hearts. And certainly youth sports is the key to that. I think it's the key to the growth of our business, but it's also the key to our core values as a brand. And not only do we want to capture these amazing moments that are happening in youth sports but also, have young athletes be able to cherish these heroes they have and to learn from those heroes. And, we have a good opportunity with all the relationships where we can, maybe do a meet and greet with an NFL player or a Major League Baseball player and just make really special moments. So, we just did a deal with AYF, which is American Youth Football. They have 30,000 teams globally. They have several 100,000 cheerleaders and dancers, and so we have an incredible opportunity to, not only sell a bunch of products but make a positive impact. NIL is a big space we're getting into, and we want to do that in a very authentic way, as we discussed earlier. Been interviewing a bunch of partners to enter that market. NFL Flag is a great relationship of ours, and so we're going to do some good initiatives with them. Unrivaled Sports, which does Cooperstown every year. They have 900 Little League teams. So the goal is when you register for Cooperstown, you get your big heads delivered to the ballpark and to be able to cheer on your son or daughter and, have decals sent to your home. And so, we're slowly but surely aligning with really great organizations in youth sports that have, the same core values as we do as a brand. And at the end of the day, it's all about, not only celebrating these moments, but having these kids just have really special experiences. And I think it all starts, as we talked earlier, about the coaching. And like I said, I remember some of the coaches I had in Little League and Pop Warner football. One of the best coaches I had in my career is my high school coach, who just, he created a really special environment. We were really close as a team, and we really believed in each other, and he empowered us to think big and do great things, and winning is a culture, right? And looking back at some of my teams I played for in my career, I'm sure you can do the same thing, Trev. It's the teams that were had a great culture have the best chance of success, and we've seen that over the last decade in the NFL. I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They refuse to lose. They always find a way, and they always believe in themselves, and they never think it's over. And we've witnessed that so many times. That's really hard, man. That's hard to do. Like, winning in the NFL consistently is very hard, and the way to do it is to have a great culture, have a great team, have great leadership, and so I think circling back to youth sports, guys, it's really, really important for these kids to have fun, and parents tend to be very intense, and some coaches tend to be really intense, and so it's kind of, separating from the noise, and parents have to do a good job, and I try to do this with my kid. I mean, the car ride home, I don't bring anything up from the game. I let my son kind of initiate the conversations, and I'll add in a healthy way, but say, look, did you work hard? Did you play your hardest? And that's all that matters. And you can only control what you can control, and you can't control what you can't control. So So that's key for kids, man. But yeah, it's special. I think youth sports are really special. I cherish the things I've learned from youth sports, and certainly those things from youth sports to college to the NFL, I think kind of shape the things I'm doing in my business career. And you always got to have a growth mindset. Trev, you brought this up earlier. Always learning, and always learning from people and books. And there's so much access to information on the internet now to really use that as power, to accomplish the things you want to accomplish.
Yeah, and this reminded me of something we were talking about just a second ago. But we talked about how you controlling your external emotions is really important. But then on the other side of that, you mentioned like that butterfly effect of, we get anxious, and for me, it's like to be successful at anything in life, whether it's sports or outside of sports. There is this fear of failure. And I think at the young youth level, what's deterring a lot of athletes, young athletes, from getting involved in maybe their local sports team is that fear of failure. If I've never played this sport before, I don't want to show up to that practice and get humiliated because I fail. For me, this is something I was having a conversation about this past weekend. I was playing golf with one of my buddies, Hall of Fame player, Adam Wainwright. He's a pitcher in St. Louis for a long time. And it was Adam and myself and three young pro baseball players. And Adam was telling this story of the mental side of the game. He's like, when I was a young player, I had to learn a hard lesson about the mental fortitude it takes to be successful, to overcome the fear, to overcome the anxiety. And he was talking about early in his career, his agent took him out on the golf course. And he said, my agent took me out on the golf course, and he said, I want you to tell me every single time you have a thought throughout this round of golf. Don't keep it in. If you have a thought, if you think it, just say it out loud. So they played a round of golf, played 18 holes, and he played pretty good. But at the end, the agent came up to him and said, hey, how do you think you played? And he said, I think I had a pretty good round of golf. And then the agent tells Adam, he's like, well, I wouldn't have known that by the way you were talking to yourself the whole time. He's like, you had 27 negative thoughts and you had 2 positive thoughts the entire round. And Adam was able to recognize that and apply that to his baseball game. He jokes that he still struggles to do that with his golf game, and maybe that's why he's not too good at golf still. But for me, and this is what I told Adam, because Adam's a close friend of mine. He's had a tremendous baseball career, and now he's transitioned into being a country music singer, to being a broadcaster. And he's just had a lot of success even outside of baseball. And I told Adam, I'm like, you've just lived out this idea of self-belief and just pushing through, not being afraid of the failure and being able to believe in yourself. And I just wanted to share that story because as you were talking, I think so many of us, Chris, you said you avoided some business opportunities after NFL because of the fear of failure. Like that really never goes away. But when we get those butterflies, when we have that fear, it's okay to recognize like that's normal. Like everybody has that, even if you can't see it on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think that, the mind-body connection is very powerful. And you have to have positive self-talk. And I think the thing that's helped me out a lot, to be honest with you, is meditation. I meditate twice a day religiously, God, probably for the last 10 years. And that's really helped me. You're going to have a lot of thoughts throughout the day, right? And the thing I try to focus on is when negative thoughts come in, you breathe through it and then try to exhale, positive thoughts. And, like I said, the mind-body connection is really, really powerful. And, what I try to teach my kids is like, look, the things you can control are your effort and your attitude and your work ethic and your preparation. So, back to your point earlier, I think people get nervous and they get butterflies because they care, right? And acknowledging that is crucial. Like if you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous. And for kids, young kids playing youth sports that maybe they're not the greatest athlete in the world, or maybe they've never played basketball in their life before, I think having realistic expectations, both as an athlete or a young athlete, or even more importantly as parents, and I think for kids playing youth sports, again, it's all about fun and it's all about learning how to become part of a team and being a great teammate and trying your best and doing the little things, right, that you need to do on an everyday basis to get better. Like, okay, you're not the greatest basketball player. It takes reps. Like, look at Michael Jordan. How many shots has he thrown in his life? And how many free throws has Steph Curry worked on, right? So if you want to be good at something, you gotta practice and you gotta work at it and you gotta grind. And so those are the things I think about all the time and certainly think about my business career. And we have an incredible opportunity at Fathead, and we have a really great core team, and we're going to add to the team, and the culture I think is positive and it's good and it's encouraging, and but you also have to encourage your teammates to, like I said earlier, think big and go big, and not be afraid to take the bat off the shoulder. Like, you got to take risk. Hopefully it's calculated risk and most times data driven risk, but at the same time, you got to take the bat off the shoulder if you want to be great.
Well, Chris, man, it's first of all, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a great conversation, a lot of great insights from you. Where can people learn more about Fathead? Where can they, connect with you as well? So that way they can, Christmas is coming right around the corner, so it's a great time.
Great time
to have a Fathead.
You know what?
Christmas.
Chris mentioned the custom side. You know what would make my wife so happy? I've learned we got a dog out about 3 years ago, and she loves this dog more than anything. I need to get a Fathead of our dog for her. Like, that would make her happy.
I got a guy for you.
Chris knows a guy.
We're on all the channels. We're obviously on LinkedIn. We're on social, Fathead, TikTok. We just started our TikTok shop, which is really exciting. We're on all the platforms. We're very active in those, and certainly willing to build out those platforms. We're excited to build out the platforms, but we're going to start to expand distribution. Like I said earlier, we got approved on Walmart, Target, Lowe's. We're getting into some of the team stores and stuff, and so at the end of the day, we're celebrating fandom and celebrating these amazing experiences in sports and entertainment and culture, and we'd love people to consider. Fathead, and we can celebrate a lot of occasions, right? And it's okay if you're not a football fan or a soccer fan, but you're certainly a fan of your family and your kids, and there's ways to capture these incredible moments and celebrate these incredible experiences that are going on.
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of big takeaways from this conversation. For me, really highlighting the position that you're in, Chris, of having a successful career in the NFL and then now operating high level with a business organization, with a team. And you just kept saying a couple of things of like this idea of culture and positivity and encouraging others to think big and to push beyond themselves and have that growth mindset. So I just wanted to kind of recap on that and say, hey, like, Chris is a guy that's walked through a lot of different phases in life and experienced a lot of really high highs and I'm certain, some lows to go along with that. But the fact that you're pointing those things out as being so important in your household and how you're thinking about your kids and your professional and personal life, that really stands out to me. And we can never get enough of that because it's not easy. You mentioned meditation and how important that is to your process. That's an important process for Jason and I as well. We have a lot of conversations about what's going on in our mind, how we pay attention to that and make sure the thoughts that we're having are really directing us to the path that we want to go down. So I don't know, is there anything else that you would like to leave us with today?
I just want to say, look, guys, I appreciate you having me. I think you guys are doing amazing things, and you're really addressing some really important topics that are going on in life and culture and sports, and mental wellness is certainly key, and I think you guys are doing incredible work, so I commend you for that, and I'm always around if you guys need me.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation, and we appreciate you coming on. With that, we'll kind of wrap it up and say, be sure to check out the 4D Leaders newsletter. Check out our resources for parents, coaches, and athletes. Remember to follow 4D Leaders and Jason on social media, and keep looking forward. We got a lot of dynamic content coming, And as you can see, and as I kind of jumped the show out today, is, we're looking to be that resource, to have those conversations for our community, to inspire and uplift and bring people in like Chris, who have experienced life at many different levels. And certainly he's a person from this conversation that I'm going to be reminded of, to keep taking those next steps. And we can dream big, but at the end of the day, we have to take the bat off our shoulders and start taking some swings. So if you have any questions, please reach out to Jason and I, and we'd love to connect with you. Yeah,
make sure you follow Fathead and Chris on social media. Check out Trevor as well, and Bring the Heat Media. And that's a wrap for this episode. If you like the episode, give it 5 stars, leave a review. Thanks for tuning in to the Game Plan Show, and we will see you next time.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.